Yes, it was rather difficult setting up tonight's live stream. Still, I am not home, so I'm still, in the midst of, you'd say, traveling. So, I will actually be home, one of my home, around next week, Tuesday, I believe. Monday, could be Monday as well. So it's either Monday or Tuesday. I'm not completely sure. Right, I'm currently at the moment, I'm just waiting for my place to be ready. Right, so that's basically just what it is. There's some renovation or something going on that I can't be there for, if you understand. Anyways, with that being said, yeah, so I had to where I'm at, there was like a storm or something, and the Wi-Fi is down, so I literally have to be using a hotspot right now, which is fine. But anyways, so yes, tonight I'll be answering some questions. So if you have questions, this is a Q&A, and it's Saturday's live stream, right? So I'm here looking at the live stream chat. So if you have any questions, anything that you need to, anything that you need clarification on, this is the right time for you to, make that inquiry. Can you talk about when we use the M30 precision swing point more specifically? Yes, well, it's fractal, so yes. And as Jerome Samuel said, next month, right, which is literally next week, is when, we begin to, dive into precise entries. That's where we really haven't, been discussing, really precise entries as yet, right? There's different ways, whereas you can enter trades or anticipate markets to reverse, right? So we'll be diving into those concepts. Well, we already know the concepts, but we'll just dive into how to anticipate such things. Can you confirm what SMT fill is? Is it price filling a FVG from a previous quarter? Well, that is one of them, right? But it does not have to do that, right? It's basically, you compare an asset like the NASDAQ to the S&P 500, right? If you have the S&P 500 fill a gap, and then you have NASDAQ not filling that gap, right? Then you will have SMT fill, right? At that point, you will have a breakaway gap, an actual breakaway gap. And the reason why I use that term is because most of you are, more comfortable, I'd say, with that term, right? If you have a background in ICT. Come on, man. Swift. What is sequential SMT? What? I'm confused. What do you mean? What? Are you new? How do you get here, man? You're lying, man. You gotta be new. How do you get here? Do you really not know what sequential SMT is? Oh, okay, you're joking. Not a good one. I don't like that joke. I thought you were here and not focused, not, studying. Pissed me off for a minute. I was like, what the hell? How do you get inside? Probably not joking either. Gotta check to see if you should be here for real. Anyways, Day, can you go over your entry last week? Like model, yes, next week. Yes, right. We'll deal with entries next week. That's what next week is for. Entries, right? More than likely, it will be the second live stream of next week, right? Yes, Oracle Theory is still planned for this year, but the end of the year, right? It is. What is it about? It's basically just using higher time frame, reversals and, just comparing them with time, right? So, for example, if you expect a higher time frame shift to occur, right, within the crypto market, within whichever market you're looking at, the index futures, right, you would just anticipate something to happen, because for the markets to move, something has to happen. But if you already know that the market's going to move, or you have a high probability of knowing that such thing may occur, then you could see something happen. Let's just say that. Can you talk a bit more about defining TP levels, please? For sure. For sure. Right? So everything that you guys have learned thus far, we're going to refine it. So you're going to get your TP models, your stop loss. You're going to know where to put your stops. If you don't know already, right? If you don't know already. So yeah. And entries, yeah, that's what I would say is the most important thing. So, personally, right, I am not the, best with exits, but what I have found to, work is, you enter and in anticipation of following a higher time frame model's direction, right? And then you exit at a lower time frame reversal. So for example, if you have a bearish sequential SMT, which is, revolving around the monthly cycle, then you would get out when you have a bullish sequential SMT that revolves around the weekly cycle, right? So things like that. And with fractals, so with just me saying that, you will, it's quarterly theory, so you could literally fit what I just said in many different scenarios, right? You could fit it with the daily cycle and the 90-minute cycle. You could fit it with the yearly cycle and the monthly cycle, right? How do you approach Monday if you're going to trade Monday, since the 2-week open has not formed? Good question. Do you use the 2-week open of the previous week? We will talk about that as well, right? So not necessarily. You can, right? It's just like the, new week opening gaps. You can, bring them over. So you can use the 2-week open from the previous week, but you would have to use the 2-day open as well, right? You would have to. So the 2-day open would be the main thing that you would use, right? Could you use sequential SMT to guess who will win the election? No. And that's not necessary, right? That's definitely not necessary. Doesn't matter who wins, the market will move aggressively, right? Because, you're having conflict of interests of both sides, right? Half, wants this type of person to be in, and the other half wants this type of person to be in. And then still, votes don't count, as we already know, right? The person that should win, has already won. They already, the guy at the top already know who he's going to place in, right? And that's just basically all I say. We're not here for conspiracy theories, right? Just talking about price right now. And as I said, today isn't really about analysis, right? So, well, putting in Bitcoin, the last time I gave you guys, I said that it was supposed to, breach a certain level, which it did, right? So for now, that's all that I will say. When there is a decoupling, do we ignore intermarket sequence or SMT? Actually, right, the only time, that you should even, consider intermarket sequence or SMT, well, not the only time that you should consider, but like, for right now, your level is the only time you should consider it actually is whenever there is no immediate sequential SMT between the triad that you're focusing on, right? So, for example, you're looking at the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Dow, right? You see that there is no sequential SMT there, and that's the only time when you will go and look for intermarket sequential SMT. Any updates on Oracle? So we are working on we have it, the product, but I'm thinking of if I should just just make it like make a more, what I would say, in-depth indicator or something like that, something that has everything that you should be looking for, where you could tweak everything that you learned already, basically make your own model, right? And it would help you, right? It's not my wish that you would just be using that, just that tool, but that tool could just help you to anticipate reversals, which is basically the main reason for all of this, right? And right, you guys need to begin to rely upon yourselves, right? If it's very simple, right? If there is this thing that we always look for, which you already know what that is, right? If your model is there, right, and you need to be working towards crafting your own model, you need to be working towards creating your own schedule around the specific times that you like, right? So take everything, you back test it, you see, okay, it works, right? And the only way I can actually prove to you that it works is telling you before it happens, right? When you do that again and again, then that's the only way that you will see that it works, right? Not just showing you execution and then saying, oh, this is what. No, it's telling you what should happen, then you see the execution afterwards. Just like last week, right? Whereas most of you saw it happen, you took part in the move, which is good, but you need to get to the stage whereas you don't even want to listen to me anymore, right? You don't want to hear me anymore, which will eventually happen, right? Even if it takes you 2 years or 3. It took me like 5 or so after ICT. Currently I just don't even want to hear him anymore, which is what you want to aim for. It's like, okay, no, I don't trust anyone but myself. Right? I don't trust anyone. I don't want you to say this and then it clouds my mind or my judgment. You understand? Could you please explain a little more about revolving true open and its functions? Yes. Right, so revolving true opens, right, basically in between, and it's high probability, right? In between, and it's more high probability if it's after the actual true open of the particular cycle that you're working with, which is why Thursdays are so explosive, right? That's why, because when is the true open of the week? It's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Monday, right? You have a revolving true open being established after that for Thursday to be explosive, right? So you have true opens being stacked right there, which is why you see such moves happening on Thursdays, sometimes Fridays as well. Well, there must be, well, they it's not that there must be, because there's different things that you could look for, but you know, it's better to look for sequential SMT, right? If you're someone that doesn't have a model yet, do you need it? Absolutely. No, you don't need it 100%, but 100% of the times when it's there, not 100% of the times, let me be more modest. 80% of the times when it's there, you'll see reversals, right? Okay. I think I've said this before as well. It's not, you know, the specific days, right? It's not that, okay, it's this particular day that you should look for the higher low of the week to form, which last week we expected it to form on Thursdays for most assets, which is what happened, right? Which is why we saw Friday continue in that direction, right? Well, the main reason that we saw Friday continue in the direction that it did was because we had sequential SMT again on, you know, Friday between the Dow and the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. So the Dow made a higher high on Friday. We did not have that in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, which led to price continuing lower. So right there, that is the quarterly theory. That is Dublin theory, right? Why? Because we are not dealing with quarters there, right? We have stepped out of the realm of quarters. Now it's, you know, what Friday is doing in comparison to Thursday, right? Is there like specific precision swing point for each cycle? Yes. In terms of sequence SMT. So I have given you one, I believe, so far, but we will be, you know, going into the sequence that you should look for these things, right? And I don't want to just be jumping into, you know, a random question too deeply, or else we'll be here for longer than I should actually be here for. It's FX daily cycle 5 p.m. or 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. since FX opens at 5. What do you mean? Which time are you referring to? Which time zone when you say at 5? But, you know, the main thing that you should focus on when it comes to time, right, is sequential SMT, precision swing points, right? And those things, for it to be more quote-unquote explosive, it must occur, you know, during a quarter or a day where you have a high impact news event, right? Must be there. So Oracle is basically an indicator tool. And no, it's not, but I want to downgrade it to such, right? For now. For index trade, what is your view about substituting Dow with NKD? No, never tried to do so, and I wouldn't ever try to do so. So yeah. And someone just asked a question. Medic just, you know, answered your question with some questions, which should assist you. So yes, it's very, you know, interesting to see your results, right? Still, we just open this achievement thing. So whenever you pass something, you can put it there to just, let everyone know that you are doing it, right? So you're doing it, and basically you can do it too if you have it. Even though I know that the ones, right, some of you that are the most successful, you are not posting anything, which is a shame. But the as my mom once said that, the humble calf gets the most milk, right? So do what you're doing. But yeah, silent killers, man. Amazing stuff, to be honest. I posted something on, the internet, X, whatever it is right now, it was Twitter formerly, that, no one can teach you how to trade, but, right, someone can teach you how to know when price will turn around. Someone can teach you how to have great accuracy in your tape reading. Someone can teach you how to be the best analyst. Someone can teach you that. You can learn that, but you can't learn how to trade from someone else. They can always give you advice. They can always tell you this and tell you, strong words, right? They can tell you, okay, you need to be, you can't be emotional, right? But that will not help you. To not be emotional, you must first be emotional a lot, right? That it pisses you off, right? It must piss you off. And then when it pisses you off so bad, then at that time, you change. At that time, you begin to trade less. At that time, you just try to find another way, right? That's it. That's exactly what it is. You must motivate yourself to change, how you view this thing, right? Yes, you are the one that has to decide when your psyche changes. So yes, I can tell you how to know when price is going to turn around, but can I tell you how to press the button? No, you're going to tell yourself that. But knowing when price is going to turn around, having an idea of when it will, that will encourage you, that will motivate you, right? And that will, basically you'll have most of it done already. Okay, when price is going to turn around. No, I just have to do it over and over until I get it. Okay, I traded here. I didn't get stopped out. Was I emotional or not? Okay, I was emotional. That wasn't good. I got to know that. I got to journal that. I can't allow myself, to be sucked in by my own emotions. Whatever you're doing, you're trading. I want you feel like, you shouldn't feel anything. You should just take a trade, or if you're tape reading or whatever you're doing analysis, and if you're correct, you should just, treat it as nothing. Right? Because the next time you don't have to be correct. You don't have to be on the right side. And once you invite excitement, right? You invite excitement into your heart, into your mind. Then the next time when you're incorrect, right, you will begin to feel despair, which is exactly what you do not want to feel, because that's worse than excitement, right? You will not always be correct, but remember also, you will not always be wrong. Just as how, you have to be wrong sometimes. You have to be correct sometimes as well. So if you manage your risk, you already have an idea of where price might go. with high probability, then you're okay. It takes a while to grasp this, right? You gotta do it over and over. You're gonna be wrong until you just stop being wrong. That's what it is. Are you going to go deeper into defining ranges from the start of the mentorship? Yes. Everything will be refined. Right? Everything will be refined. So, yes. I basically made it easy, right? When to look for this, right? You look for this when you have, sequential SIMT or precision swing point, and on that specific day, you have high impact news events. If you do that, you'll find trades. Can I trade without high impact news events? You can, but it's more risky. So basically, you do more of what works and less of what doesn't. For example, on Mondays when you have no news, or just on Mondays overall, you'll see price. You either see price consolidate or expand. That's Q1. That's what it does. It consolidates or expands. It's not just it just consolidates or just expands. It consolidates or it expands. What does Q2 do? It manipulates after you have consolidation within Q1. So if, and this word is if this happens during this time, then this should happen as well. Given that there is, a substantial amount of liquidity entering the marketplace, right? So that's something else. If this happens here during this time, right, then this should happen if we have enough liquidity entering the marketplace. What does that mean? If this happens on Wednesday, there's consolidation, there's no news. See, we can move around the accumulation now. If this happens on Wednesday, there's no news, there's consolidation. Then you have on Thursday, there's a substantial amount of liquidity entering the marketplace. Prices are already above the 2-week open. But then you have sequential SMT or precision swing point price trades into a higher time frame gap than what you have a reversal. That's it. That's what always happens. 90% of the times, and you can check this for yourself. Now we're looking at the index futures, looking at the S&P 500, looking at the Nasdaq, the Dow, right? Whenever you have the high to low of the week form, what follows that? Like, what causes that to happen? It's SMT. It's sequential SMT, more particular. The precision swing point, if it's not sequential SMT, there has to be a precision swing point, but there's a low probability that it will not be sequential SMT. Looking at the Forex market, what causes price to turn around is sequential SMT all the time. Every week it's there. It's never not there. So every time, even when you see people on the internet, they're like, oh, this week it's a bad week. What we're looking for is there, is always there, because this is the mechanism of the marketplace, right? This is what causes price to move. And anyone that says otherwise just hasn't studied long enough. Anyone that says otherwise just isn't paying attention. They haven't checked. Right? They never took a minute to go and back test. But this is what causes it. Sequential SMT between London session and New York. What happens? You're gonna expect the high low today to form, within one of those quarters. Why within one of those quarters? Because for the high of the week to form, within the Nasdaq, for example, for it to form during the London session, it must form during the New York session within one of its, closely correlated peers, like the Dow, for example. Right? You're not going to just have the Dow make a high, the Nasdaq make a high, the S&P 500 make a high in New York, and then just turn it around unless there is intermarket sequential SMT. Right? But still, there must be a cracking correlation there. Right? Remember you mentioned how T2 and T3 can also be used in Q2. And there are also different variations to that. I'm just adding that, right? Which we'll also, get into. So you see, we've learned a lot. You've learned a lot. That we can take this piece and put it with this piece and this piece and put it with this piece right here, or stack these together and have a model. Right? So yes, also, right, 1 week, next month we'll be going into, quarterly shifts, which is basically looking for shifts to occur or anticipating shifts to occur by, establishing a range from a previous shifts, which are put into place by, actual Kraken correlations, right? So yes, I think this will probably be the last question I'll answer is from Brian. You've mentioned a sequential SMT between 2 months and an aspect of doubling. Will that be SMT between 2/3 of a yearly cycle? Is it applicable to lower time frames? So sequential SMT between any thirds. Okay, for that, how about you go into your charts and you try to take note of what you find. I can promise you, right, we'll speak about it, and yes, I believe that you'll find something useful doing that. So yes, this was, better than expected, right? It's nice to, have you guys here so attentive, right? Even when it's a Saturday, right? So yeah, you need to always be on your toes in this, industry. You always have to be looking at the markets, even on Saturdays, even on Sundays, even when it's closed, just eyeballing what has happened, looking for familiarities, right, between specific times. Although you found this useful, right, we will be back here, say Monday, right, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you found, something useful here. It will be recorded, so you guys can watch this, and yes, this will be what, this will usually be what Saturdays will, this is, sorry about that. So yeah, Saturdays will be like this going forward, right? Maybe there will sometimes be, a issue, whereas, if I have to deal with something that just relates to family, which is just my son, that's all it is, my son. That's the only thing that could really make me miss this, right? So that's the only reason. Anyways, have a wonderful night, and I wish you nothing but success, even more success for those of you that already have success, right? And if you already have success, share your stories with your mates over here, and yeah, talk to you guys soon.